WFLT. Good morning. You are live on the air.
Good morning, Sister Dolores, and all the listeners to WFLT. We got to give you good information about what is going on in our community. You want to give you good information about where we are, and we need all the support we can as we provide you with a level of good information here. But before we get started, we want to make sure that we give our condolences to those who have lost their loved ones throughout this past week, and also lift everybody up in prayer as we start this broadcast. We want to make sure that we do so. So if all our hearts and minds are clear, dear Heavenly Father, we come before your throne, thanking you once again for your mercy and grace upon our lives. We ask for you to touch those who have lost loved ones this past week, Father God, and give them strength to endure all the things that they have to as they move forward. Touch our families and touch our community, Father, right now. Let us lift everybody with encouragement and strength, Father God, through our prayers. We ask for these blessings in Jesus' name. Amen. Today we have a great show for you. My voice is a little bit hoarse. Last night I went to a fabulous play at the New McCree Theater located on Clio Road. It was a Motown review, and I want to congratulate all the cast and crew of the show. It was just a fantastic event, and I encourage you. They have Friday and Saturday shows going on, and if you have not been over to the New McCree Theater, I would suggest that you get over there and check out some of our local talent as they perform. It was a fantastic show, so my wife and I had the opportunity to do so last night. But as we move forward, we still have to make sure that we observe what is going on in our community. We still have a pandemic amongst us. The numbers are still moving. We have to do our part to make sure that we can get to what we call herd immunity. Herd immunity means that where we get a level of vaccinations to whereby we can slow the spread and start moving back in a positive direction. With us, as we've had for the past year to be able to guide us through, is Dr. Furholden. Dr. Furholden, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Mayor. Good morning, Tony. Too.
Right now, so Dr. Ferraro, where are we with our numbers as it relates to our city of Flint and what we need to be doing and some of the precautionary things that's going on?
Yeah, the numbers are still continuing to increase. We're on our 13th consecutive week of increase in COVID cases in the city of Flint. That very much mirrors what we're seeing across the state and really across the nation. Our testing positivity rate remains high. It's around 9%. So that means if everybody who's getting a COVID test, nearly 1 in 10 of them are coming back and tested positive. One of the things we started tracking to really give people a better sense of who in fact is COVID positive is the CDC has given us a tool and a strategy for identifying what's called probable cases. Because even the numbers that we have, the only way for you to be classified as a COVID case is if you get a COVID test. But we know there are a lot of people, you might be in a household and you are positive and somebody else in your house has all the signs and symptoms and they just sort of sweat it out and they don't actually go and get tested. Well, if they don't get tested, there's no way for us to then be able to count them. So we now have a bit of a system in place to be able to count probable cases. When you look at those cases, the numbers are even worse than they appear. So, my recommendation to people, remember, we flattened the curve on this thing even before we had a vaccine. The vaccine is, in fact, going to be helpful. And for people who remain undecided about the vaccine, it doesn't mean not to practice good prevention. Still wear that mask when you're out in public. Keep up that good hand hygiene. That will help us even during the flu season. If people continue to wash their hands, and I don't want people to do it obsessively. You don't need to do it 30 times a day. But be mindful of your contact. When you're out and you're coming in contact with things, wash your hands and sanitize your hands. And then, of course, watch your distance to others. I do not recommend that people be in densely populated places, and when they are out, that they try to keep some space between them and others. If we can do those things and continue with the work of vaccination, we can bring this thing down. But as of right now, we are going in the wrong direction.
Now, the vaccines that have been created, now we know that we're watching the age of people that can be vaccinated has changed. Who can be vaccinated now? And where are our ages at? Where can we start with our young children? What age?
Well, so right now, the vaccine is available for all kids 12 and over. The data are back from the pharmaceutical companies for kids 5 through 11. I don't believe we've got FDA approval for 5 to 11 yet, but it's coming. But like I said, I really want people to follow the FDA. The pharmaceutical company came out early and said, "Oh, we've got good data," but the FDA has not yet approved the vaccine for kids age 5 to 11. The meeting has been set. It looks like they will likely be issuing a emergency use authorization, and we will see 5 to 11-year-olds come online very soon, but not yet.
Now, is it a different type of vaccine that's going to be used for youngsters, the ones that's 12 and above? Is it different than the ones that we receive as adults?
That's a great question. No, they're getting the same vaccine in a different dose. So the trials, for example, the 5 to 11-year-olds, it doesn't contain as much vaccine in the vial. The shot that they get is less. Similar to the 12 to 16-year-olds, and then of course there's the full adult dose. So we're all getting the same thing, just not in the same amount. Like think about it. If you are a child, if you look on the back of a medicine bottle, it'll say if you're this age or this weight, you take 1. If you're this age or this weight and above, you take 2. It's sort of like that. It's the same vaccine, just in a smaller dose.
Right. Well, we're going to try to make sure that we get people the testing and the ongoing vaccination that they need. Do you know where still they're giving both in our community right now for the vaccines and the testing?
Yeah, we got plenty of free vaccine sites all over the city. I recommend that people go to gchd.us. That's our health department website, and all of the freely available testing and vaccination sites are there. It's the best place to go because sometimes it changes. They'll do pop-up sites sometimes, so they'll add additional places. We're now there's a lot of movement around go-to vaccination. So if you are having an event, for example, and you have 40, 50 people who are planning to be at your event, and many of them are unvaccinated, you can call and request that somebody come and be able to provide vaccinations at your event. So all of those resources will be available to people on the health department's website, gchd.us.
That's wonderful. And as we have more of our city locations coming online throughout the city, we'll look into providing more areas where you can get tested or vaccinations. On the line with us right now, we have our wonderful police chief, Terrence Green, law enforcement officer leading the way in very difficult times. We're still under a state of emergency. We still are right sizing what our crime fighting ability using technology and using other methods. But definitely when we clean up and finding good police officers to do the work of protecting and serving, we're doing just that here under the leadership of Chief Terrence Green. Good morning, Chief Green. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning. I'm doing great.
Right. And so we want to update residents about how they can be a part of the progressive change, the path to a positive future for this community. We know that we're in trying times, and we know that we all have been traumatized to a certain level through this pandemic. And as we reawaken our community, and we have a lot of agitations going on, but definitely we're going to make sure that we have the best that we can offer our residents, and that's what we're doing. Right now, we have 5 mini stations, police mini stations, getting ready to be reactivated. 2 are coming back online. But what we have to do is populate those mini stations with volunteers. We've just graduated another 10 that I've heard from one of our captains to populate those mini stations throughout our city. Right now, we have one that is going to be a Hasselbrink facility. We have one on ML King and Bishop Avenue. We have one on University and Chevrolet. We have one on Dort Highway and Atherton Road. Chief, did I miss any? Oh, yeah, I did miss one. What is that 5th one, Chief?
We'll be open on the east side of Flint, on Franklin Avenue.
Franklin Avenue. And Chief, can you tell them how they can contact if residents wants to volunteer to be a part of our Crime Watch? How can they be a part of it?
Well, they can contact Captain Sandra Taylor at 257-5468, 257-5468. She's organizing that. She will get anyone that is interested going with that, becoming a volunteer or a Crime Watch member.
Can you get that number one more time?
It's 257-5468.
Right. And we talk about the things that we want our communities to be, but we cannot do it alone with law enforcement. Law enforcement generally is a response unit to something that is actually going on. But a crime watch is what we can do is watch the things that are going on in our community real time. And these are pieces out in the community so we can actually engage residents better and so we can populate these areas with volunteers. We have 420 churches inside the city of Flint. 380 of them happen to be African-American churches. With the level of faith followers in this community, if we are, using praise and Christianity as one of the things that we follow in this community, we have to engage and do some work. Faith without works is dead. And so, I would ask members of the clergy to engage their congregations and asking them to support and volunteer at some of these places, or them themselves become volunteers at one of these locations. We've spent a tremendous amount of money, Chief Green has, making sure that these locations are safe and also that they have the amenities that they're going to need at these locations. So these are not just cuts or raggedy places that we're opening for many stations. And Chief, you want to talk about some of the renovations that you've been doing?
Yes, well, the main renovations was conducted at the mini station located on ML King and Bishop Avenue on the north end of Flint. Very pleased with those renovations. Prior to the renovations, they're very horrendous condition on the interior of that building. That's totally been gutted. I've been by there. I'm very pleased with it. And those volunteers that have been members of that mini station, I welcome you to come up there and look at the changes that have been made. I guarantee you they'll be very pleased.
Well, that's wonderful. And Chief, how else can residents engage law enforcement in a way? I know we're actually renovating Hassel Center over off of Forest Hill for our new PAL program that you'll be facilitating for young people, and we're making that building safe, remediating lead paint and other things over there. I think you guys are activating the gym area now. What's going on there, Chief?
Absolutely. The gym has been totally completed. It's been repainted. The floor has been renovated. Currently, we are conducting what we call as debris, getting rid of a lot of debris that's in the rest of the building. But we're pleased with the outcome of that also. These are the problems with these buildings that have accumulated over the years. So under this administration, I've been authorized and allowed to complete these renovations, which was long overdue. So I'm very pleased with the outcome of that building also.
Right. Right sizing, cleaning up, right sizing the municipality takes a little bit of work. We've been in office a little bit under 2 years, and I'm so proud of the work that the team has been doing, especially in a pandemic season, ongoing water crisis. A lot of things needed to be fixed, fixing a financial issue, still fighting through a budget, and even those that of a mindset that will criticize and try to condemn certain things because of political nature. It only hurts people. And so we need everyone to really unite in our thinking to lift our community. One thing that we had also this week is a visit from Mayor Marcus Muhammad from Benton Harbor, Michigan. They found themselves in the need of a level of vice and scientists coming together to be able to help them through our lead copper rule for the nation. They found themselves testing very high for the levels of lead in their water. So Mayor Muhammad reached out to us here because we're going through and reaching the end of our crisis as we continue to replace lead service lines, our infrastructure, internal and external, completing our main delivery systems of water here in the city of Flint. And so he asked if he could come here to get a level of advice. Dr. Furholden was in that room, and also our DPW director, Mike Brown, was here. We have put many people together for him to inquire the best practices in which he can engage in. Dr. Mona Hatisha was a part of that as well. And so Dr. Furholden, some of the things that we offered, Mayor Muhammad, you were here. And what was your takeaway from the conversation there as we try to assist other places across the state of Michigan that has faced some of the same challenges that we have?
Well, I think, we have really set a stage and have a great blueprint for what to do and also for what not to do. So the first thing is to declare a state of emergency. And it's a really interesting thing because if you look at the data that they have, it looks like somewhere on the order of 10%, 15% of their homes may have a real problem. But the problem is if you've got, one home is too many. One child being poisoned by lead when it's avoidable is too many. And so the real first step here is to really declare that emergency. And that declaration then will open up the gateway for the resources that you need to actually then fix the problem. So very similar to Flint, they're going to have to do a system-wide pipe replacement. And then they're also going to have to provide residents with the resources they need now to be safe and to have access to drinkable or potable water. That's going to include the bottled waters, the point of contact filters for the sinks, providing babies with the pre-made formula so they don't have to, moms aren't forced to have to make formula with tap water. All of those resources and all of those things that we learned during the Flint water crisis. So I really appreciate that Mayor Muhammad not only said, hey, let me reach out to my friends in Flint because y'all have all been there, but that he actually stayed open in the conversation to the real insight and knowledge and wisdom that we gained in the Flint community as we, sort of navigated through our own crisis. So I feel good about it. And I really hope that Benton Harbor will really take up the mantle, that the mayor will sound the horn, and that there'll be a national, leader in this is what you do when you realize that you have a problem with your water. See, people can't get away from that. It's one thing to talk about lead in paint or lead in certain products. When you have lead in water and people are ingesting it, there is no way to get away from that. And what we didn't know when we literally mandated that pipes be made with lead 50, 60 years ago is that lead is a very potent neurotoxin and it does bad things to the human body at all ages. It's especially bad for developing bodies and brains, but it's also bad for older adults and adults as well. So we didn't know that, but we know that now. So, bravo to Mayor Muhammad and his team for reaching out, allowing us to contribute to them, and then taking up the mantle to solve the problem that they have in Benton Harbor.
Right. And, and we put people around him that we know that has a level of expertise. I had many medical professionals in the room, and also we had some infrastructure strategists and also engineers and our own local scientist, Mike Brown, our DPW director. And Mike, you were part of that dialogue as well. And some of the advice that we provided as we rebuild our infrastructure through the city of Flint here, we're doing fabulous work, and we have to recognize that we cannot have a victim state of mind in this community. And one thing that we have been doing as a leader in this community is trying to shake people out of that victim state of mind, moving us forward to a victor state of mind. What defines us in this community is how we rise. We cannot wallow around in a state of shock, but because of the crises in which we face, a financial crisis, a water crisis, a civil unrest in our nation, a pandemic. We are at the intersection of crisis, but for those in the faith field, those are faith believers know that, if you believe in God and you believe in faith and you believe in unity and you believe in working together, we have to practice the tenets of those particular faith that we have and continue to move forward. We're doing it in a fantastic way, but what can help move us even faster if we unite and put down the petty level of politics or discourse, and we have to protect the treasure that we have from those that will pick our pockets. Karl Marx had a quote that says that, man cannot see beyond his own monetary gain. And so we have to be able to look beyond that. We have to put a agenda together to move our community forward. And I'm very excited to say that now we have moved beyond our previous trash waste collector on the streets, and now residents, as starting yesterday, you've seen this big, bright yellow trucks going up and down your streets every day. That is our new waste provider, not provider, but collector of our waste here in the city of Flint. And it took us a little bit of time to get to this point, but now we have that. And Mike, can you tell us and tell residents what they're seeing out there with this new waste collector that we have in the city of Flint?
Yes, we have a new waste collector, Priority Waste. They are the big yellow trucks, as you said, Mr. Mayor. And they were out yesterday for the first day. I just happened to catch the news this morning, and they had a gentleman who said that they had picked up a house that had been sitting there for a month or two, and they are determined to clean up the city of Flint. At the same time, will have trucks out today. You'll see green trucks. They hired a couple of waste management to it. Their crews, they're big yellow ones, and they'll be going through all the wards, and they're picking up everything that was left over from the previous company. And that was their plan for today. And so if you happen to see one in your area, a truck, they're just checking to make sure everything gets picked up, because they don't want to get blamed for stuff that wasn't theirs, and they want to get the city of Flint clean. There were some hiccups yesterday. First day. In fact, in my own neighborhood, my recycling is still sitting out by the curb this morning, but they do have trucks out, and they will be catching those. Most of the area that seemed to have been having problems was at the south end of the city of Flint and Red Arrow, Ogama area, Circle Drive, where they missed, and they will have crews out today. But at about 7:30 last night, they called it quit. But they were picking up everything. So it's going to be yesterday was going to take a lot longer than a normal pickup day, because they were picking up everything that was out there.
Right. And they're picking up, so people can understand what they're picking up at the curbside. They said they're going to pick up 3 big bulk items, right? On a weekly route, they'll pick up to 3 bulk items. Is that correct?
That is correct. They're picking up 3 bulk items, and a mattress and a box spring, and the wood for a bed that seems pitched out. That counts as 1. So 1 unit, but they'll pick up 3, whether it's a washer and dryer, refrigerator, etc. They will pick those up.
Right. And so as we move and make our transition, I'm sorry, Mike. What was you saying? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Sorry. Yeah, I was just going to say couches, chairs, etc. Big bulk item. They will be picking up at the 3 every week. Right.
And as we make these transitions and we getting better every single day, just know that the first day of our new waste collector was yesterday. They're going to get the feel of this, and they're out even this weekend. And that's because they want to make sure they make a good first impression on this community, and they're going to be our partner for the next 3 years, at least during the duration of that contract, as they go forward and pick up things. Now, also, as we make our magnificent moves as we go forth, Mike, you have been in charge of the construction of our secondary delivery system from the same source of water. It's required by law that you have a primary source, a primary delivery system of your water, and a secondary. Our secondary system was scheduled to be completed in 2019. It did not happen. So within 2 years of us being here for a project that had not started, we completed the construction of a chemical feed building, big building to be able to enhance the level of the treatment of water here in the city of Flint, and also a new secondary delivery line. And Mike, where are we at? We're at the completion stages of that secondary delivery line. And what happens here is that we have an opportunity now to do much needed repairs on our primary line that's been long overdue for many years. And Mike, I'll let you describe that so people get an understanding what we're doing with our primary line as our secondary line comes online right now.
Well, the secondary line is online. As the mayor said, it has been built. We've been using it to take the 5% through that line to keep the water fresh inside that line in case we need it. This week, Thursday, we started our ramping up. We are now taking approximately 25% out of our secondary line and 75% out of our primary line. We noticed a couple of little changes of the water coming into the plant, not the water going out of the plant. The water going out of the plant is the same quality that we've been putting out. So we are working on that. Minute changes, but we are making sure that the city of Flint is still getting high quality water. We will be doing this for at least a week at 25%. Then we will take a look with our partners, EPA and Eagle. We'll make a decision on whether we can move to the next step, which would be 50% out of each of the two lines. So we are moving forward. The idea is we have to get to 100% in our secondary line to make sure that it works. Second is that we have work at the plant in vaults with valving and piping that has been in there since the early 80s and 90s was, I think, the last time it was even looked at. So that needs attention, and we need to do some change out to make our process even better and better controlled, so that we can, again, make sure that the whole city is getting a good water supply to each and every resident.
Right. And, I want to continue to congratulate and thank those men and women that are working in this area, doing all these particular issues that we have going on inside the city of Flint, doing all this magnificent work that is being done with public safety, health, and also our infrastructure upgrades. It's been a challenge, but in less than 2 years, we have done some wonderful, wonderful work inside the city. We're doing it, and we're going to continue to need our help, our partners out there. On October 21st, we will be recognizing organizations that has helped us in this fight in the health area with this pandemic. We'll be recognizing nominated organizations for their help and service in this area. And so we'll be doing that. It's going to be October 21st. The award ceremony will be held at the New McCree Theater at 6 p.m. And right now we sent out letters to our faith-based organizations for those nominations for those organizations that has been such a good partner in helping us move and migrate our way through these challenges. We have heroes here amongst us: Chief Terrence Green, DPW Director Mike Brown, Dr. Deborah Furholden. We are continuing to enlist those of like thinking to move us forward in this community. It has been a challenge in our educational community. We look at the challenges in our disparities for healthcare, especially for African Americans, the environmental injustice. We're looking at ways to make sure we can improve our environment and hold those accountable for the injustices. Now, Chief Green, before we go, we got a couple minutes left here. If young people want to start signing up for our PAL program, is there a mechanism set up right now for them to call to be able to start enrolling for our PAL activities?
Yeah, so what we'll do, we're going to roll out that contact information once the Haskell building has been completed. And we'll be doing that through our other partners with the PAL program. But currently, they can call the City Police Department and if they have any inquiries, and also on our Facebook page, they can receive information on that.
Right. And just for for our listening audience, I'll take the last minute here. We cannot continue to let others and people and organizations or entities exploit our community. These people are been known to pick the pockets of the poor. We cannot allow that to happen anymore. We're going to start dispersing. We have just going through our compliance coordination for the ARPA dollars, American Rescue Plan dollars. We're going to start putting those dollars in position for the residents. One thing that you never really hear politicians say is that they give guarantees. I'm giving you a guarantee on this broadcast that 100% of these dollars will make it for the benefit of the residents of the city of Flint. We cannot allow those profiteers to continue to place people in the shade and not receive the dollars that's needed for housing, for a good infrastructure, for environmental changes, for safety. We will put these things back into position for you. We won't let those people monetize our suffering, pain, poverty, and a pandemic. And those individuals are upset now because we will protect these dollars that belongs to the residents of the city of Flint. We won't allow it any longer to continue. And that's why you see so many people in certain sectors upset about it. We will continue to move forward. We continue to enlist your prayers for us as we continue to be unapologetic about saving lives. We will continue to help our partners, whether it be in Saginaw and or Benton Harbor. We must come together. Praise is an act of your actions, everyone. Speak positive. Be positive, engage one another. Our children, our families deserve it. With that said, I love you, Mom. I got a couple runs to make. Chief Green is taking me out and about to some community groups. So we're going to do a lunch today versus breakfast. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you and God bless. Back to you, Sister D at WFLT. All right, thanks, guys.